Welcome to the special workshop on interim report preparation and writing. I am going to talk about today writing format styles that you need to consider when you are writing your dissertation of the final year BIT project, as well as the plagiarism issue that what we have observed during the last few years, and you need to know about this issue and try to avoid the plagiarism that may sometimes some students do it without the proper understanding. Outline of my talk is about very briefly. I will talk about what you should know about before you start writing, then the writing styles and format, referencing, avoid plagiarism. So, think that should do it, and writing about the implementation and testing part in your dissertation. Finally, the deadlines, the milestone that you need to follow when you are writing the working on the dissertation and carrying out the project activities. So, as now since you are at the very beginning of your project, the first starting point that you need to consider is to go through some good past dissertations, and you can find those dissertations from the library as well as from the through the online course designed for the final year project in the virtual learning environment. And at the same time, the guidelines which are published with respect to the relevant academic year, this is usually modified in every academic year based on the specific requirements. So, you need to locate the latest version and go through that. At the same time, the continuous communication about the coordinators of the project as well as the things that you need to complete is happen through the virtual learning environment, special project VLE for the through this special project VLE. So, writing the report is not something that you have to do it at the end. It is a continuous process that you need to start at very beginning. So, there are several ways which you can consider to keep your engaged with the report writing work. Some students maintain a kind of a daily project diary where they record the things, then weekly they spend some time on writing. Read what you wrote so far at a regular time. So, this is a very important to refine what you have written so far. Otherwise, there may be a lot of garbage, repetitions, those things you need to identify, improve it. So, do not wait for the last minute to do these things. Care and attention to the language is very important, since the majority of the students are not the first speakers in the English language, and all the BIT work as well as the whole dissertation in English language. Therefore, it is very important that as the second language speakers, that we need to try to avoid the language mistakes. Format, how to format your reports. The first thing, if we want to really format, you need to concentrate on the fonts and font sizes. There is no strict rule, but please note that finally you will have to print this dissertation, and therefore, it is better to use some appropriate font which will produce a printed material at the end of the one. At the same time, the PDF version will be made it available through the online environment, but printed one will be the formal document you will have to type. And you will also have to concentrate the character size, which must be somewhere between 10 and 12, should not be less than 12, and Times New Roman is the common font lots of students use, but sans serif is also something possible to consider. And number of pages, some students think having a large number of papers will show it is a good dissertation, but the reality, the quality depends on the actual content of the dissertation, not the number of pages. So, the candidates should try to make a kind of a quality dissertation in order to obtain a better grading and a recognition for the work. In that case, avoid the unnecessary repetitions. In case if you have to repeat, you better to refer the whole description in one place, but you can refer them back, putting the relevant referencing within the dissertation from with respect to the one section to another section. As a general rule, you better not to increase more than 50 pages, the main body of the main dissertation, and but the general figure that what we say the whole dissertation including your the appendixes and the references and things, all other things should not be exceeded more than 110 pages. But this is goes with the plus or minus 10, therefore you have a freedom. Tables and figures are very important. They give a very good overview of what you have done. Please remember, the majority of the readers of your dissertations are not the careful readers who read from the beginning to the end. Therefore, placing the tables and figures together with the caption is a very important one, and the format, and they should be visible and meaningful. Those things also you have to consider, and that adds a value in the overall content of the report. The dissertations are not something where you simply express your opinions and the ideas. You need to argue your ideas. So, it is a very formal document. In that case, you need to find the witnesses for your arguments. That is where you have to refer the relevant things inside maybe the other publication, other dissertations, and then in that case you need to follow the correct referencing mechanism. And at the same time, when you are referencing the articles, you need to follow a kind of a particular format, especially when you are referring in a conference proceeding. Then there is where you have to first write the author, then the title of the paper, then the relevant conference name and the page numbers and things like that. And the periodicals, there is another format which you need to consider. Then also when you are referencing kind of things inside the text, you need to you can refer not only one items, several items you can refer. In that case, for example, several references you can refer as is shown here. Then I will move into the more details little bit about what is this plagiarism and how it is important that you need to take the precautions to avoid the plagiarisms with or without your knowledge. It is an illegal things where you are supposed not to do it. Sometimes people without the proper knowledge, they may do some careless reuse of the other content, and as a result they may face lots of problems. So, during the last few years we have observed many people commit this bad activity due to the ignorance and the poor knowledge about the matter. And there are lots of tools available. Therefore, it is possible to easily check your content in the dissertation with the other dissertations as well as the content in the web. You can reuse some content or some ideas, but most important thing, you need to acknowledge them, you need to refer them. So, you have to refer those things in order to argue your justify the arguments in your dissertation. That is not a plagiarism. The plagiarism is where you are trying to put the other people's work without a proper acknowledgement, and if you are presenting the other work as your own work, that will be considered as a bad work. Of course, the majority of your work should be the original work. Well, simply putting the other people's work, sometimes people can have referencing and citations. That is not the good document or good dissertation. So, if your dissertation is discovered plagiarized, the whole process of marking, giving feedback will be suspended, and you will be requested to appear in the disciplinary inquiry. Therefore, please try to make sure that you take the relevant precautions. Of course, you can refer the other books and dissertations, but please note that it is not a good way to use the content on those dissertation as it is. Your dissertation should have your own content. Of course, you can refer the style of another dissertations. Again, the best win is based on the guideline, you can have your own style. Implementation, and this is the something that you need to start. I hope when you are listening to this one, you will be somewhere in the middle of your project at where you have to submit the interim report. Some of you may have already started the implementation. It is something must be done. The main one of the learning outcome is to where you will have to showcase a developed software product, and this software product depend on the actual implementation. In that case, we will check the code that you have developed in this project. The code checking is one of the important evaluation condition in the project evaluation, where the examiners will look at the code of your actual program, and they may also request you to modify it and improve, do a slight modification within the given period of time, in order to find out whether it is your own work, or whether it is in something where you are not confident or not. In case if you fail to code checking component in the evaluation, it is possible that you may not be able to complete the project successfully. And at the same time, I had to mention the code checking as well as the implementation part must be documented, and you should write those things in your dissertations as well, especially the tools, environment and use, and the kind of techniques. And if you are following an iterative method, then you also have to showcase things that you need to the way that you have followed these things. The testing. So, after the implementation part, you have to move to the testing part. The testing is also very important part in your software implementation. Then you need to start planning this one from the very beginning. The test cases, as you know, that you need to identify from the at the requirement analysis stage. For example, when you draw the use cases, you can write the acceptance testing, and of course, the test cases, just the test cases are not enough. You need to try out the test cases, identify the results, and if there are whether they are successful or not. In case if you are not successful, you can find out the reasons for it. Those things you could document it. Sometimes there may not be enough space in the dissertation to write everything. In that case, you can put some part of the results of the test cases in the special appendix at the end of the report. At the same time, you can identify the different test cases. One of the important test cases that we do consider is a user acceptance testing, which you can easily identify when you are identifying the actual requirements of the project together with the client. Then the other thing is, now when you start the project, the planning the whole project from beginning to the end. In order to plan the project, the milestones are very, very important. So, how do you need to get the milestones? Sometimes you may be listening to this talk not in this academic year 2015. In case of you are from the after 2015, you need to look for the latest project guideline in order to identify what are the deadlines or important dates, and you need to then plan the whole your work based on these deadlines. And since this particular talk is recorded somewhere during the March 2015, the next deadline in this current academic year, in the 9th April 2015, where you have to finish design and writing the first 3 chapters up to the design chapter, and you can submit this one as your interim report. And it is very important to note that this interim report, you may not get a detailed feedback. However, we will check all the submissions in order to find out whether the students have attended the work of writing the dissertation from the beginning. And it is a continuous activity, as I mentioned earlier, and if you have even completed the draft version of the first 3 chapters, which you have to submit as the interim report, you will get some marks. And in this after the interim report deadline, the next deadline will be you will have to 3rd June, somewhere in June, finish the implementation, finish writing implementation chapter. And there will be several progress reports which you have to submit, and through this progress report you will have to inform us the progress of the project. And then at around this time we do expect that you may have finished the implementation part. So at the end of the June, the finished evaluation, finished writing evaluation chapter, that is a kind of an overall guideline that what we have given. So if you have achieved those milestones, it is much more easier for you to report. And June, we hope that you have had at least you have completed the draft dissertation with the conclusion chapter, where in the conclusion chapter you will have to summarize the work and analyze, and also you can write some of the future work that you are planning. And in July, you can spend some of the time of finish the writing appendixes and the preface material in the dissertation and hand over your completed dissertation to your supervisor for this feedback. And this is another important thing. After writing, obtain the feedback from your supervisor. In that case, the supervisor needed some time, and meantime the supervisor goes through. You can look at the some of the your own writing and refine them. At the same time, obtain some other parties feedback and to improve it. As I mentioned, they improve the language. Identify the language errors and the mistakes, and improve the quality of their dissertation. And keep in mind, in the August, go through the completed dissertation for any errors, improve it if needed, and submit a spiral bound copy of the dissertation to the external degree center EDC. And this is the final deadline, where in August you will have to submit, and then your second 6th semester exams may be over, and you will get another time. After submitting your dissertation in August, we will start going through them, checking the plagiarisms. That was the first step that we do it. At the same time, what we will assign the relevant examiners for those projects, and they will look at those things in order to provide the feedback, and they will come with the dissertation for the viva that will be held somewhere in after August, most probably early September or October, depending on a particular schedule, where you will be informed through the virtual learning environment. So while you start working on the dissertation, also it is very important to keep in mind the overall marking scheme for the final year project. As you can see here, the 90% of the marks comes through the final project evaluation, what we do it. But however, there are 10 marks where you can easily obtain by completing the progress reports as well as submitting the interim report. And these 10 marks, we give these 10 marks based on your completion. So actual, rather than the actual content, it is a matter of completing the work on or before the given deadline. So there, in that case, your continuous engagement in the project activities is the one where we looked at in the student centered learning environment, where you have to put in more effort in order to complete the project successfully. And 10 marks is allocated for it, and the other 90 marks will be, there will be in a detailed marking scheme, but the main evaluation points will be the scope, where we will see whether what you have done is in a kind of a 1 year project work. This is one of the big problems lots of students face. They can't identify whether the scope is adequate or not. In such situation, you need to look at whether actual work that you are trying to present, it is something where people need, where one person needs at least one, let's say it's more than 40 weeks of work, 300 hours of work. So, user interface, evidence of testing, code generation, quality presentation, response question, exploring any part of the system code, marking changes to system. And these evaluation points are very critical, and if you refer the project guidelines, page number 28, 29 in this year's version, you can find the more details. And having a very good understanding of those things, it's easier for you to successfully concentrate on writing part of your dissertation and to present your project. So, I hope my talk will be a very good starting point, but you may have lots of other questions. You can contact us through the virtual learning environment with your questions, and the facilitators will be very happy to help you to, and also your friends who are joining through the virtual learning environment of the BIT degree program, they will also share their experience where you can learn. So, thank you very much for your attention, and I hope this will helpful you to do a good project, and wish you all the best to complete your studies successfully. Thank you.